Welcome to the the pewter casting task auto laser tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be going through with you how to bring your mold design that you've created in AutoCAD and Illustrator into auto laser and get it set up ready for cutting on the laser cutter. Okay, so first thing you need to do is open up auto laser on the computer. It may ask you if you want to make changes to the computer. You can click OK, that's fine. Okay, the little box comes up saying that first. Just click OK, and then this kind of a screen will open. Now this is on my laptop, and it's an older version. The one on the school laptop is a newer version. There's only a few differences, and I'll go through them on the way, but the first one is that down here looks a little bit different. There might be some extra bits and pieces over here, but the main things that we're going to be playing with will be the same. There's one thing down here I do want to note on the new version. It says output selected, and you want to make sure that's not clicked. Okay, so that is not selected as what you want to do. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our design in. Okay, and I say import because that is what it requires us to do. We need to use the import option. And go File, Import, find my design. This is why it's really important to properly label your items. Okay, and then go Open. Yes, we want it in metric, that's what we drew it in, and we can see that it's come up here now in with all the different colors that I had before all set up. Okay. Alrighty, so the first thing I'm going to do at this point here is I'm going to use my selection tool. I've already got that over here to click and drag, okay, and select all of my things. And I'm just going to use this tool here called Delete Coincide, okay, and go, this is all fine, set up, and go OK. What that will do is if I have any lines that are overlapping in my drawing, it's going to delete them for me, so that it doesn't go over those sections multiple times. Okay. Alright, so that's the main thing bringing it in. The first thing I'm going to do now is to actually start looking at my layers. Okay, so over here you'll see the layers that are currently in my drawing, and each layer has its own cut setting assigned to it. This one down the bottom here says forbidden, and that's sometimes useful for us to do, but I'm not going to get into that now. Now those colours coincide with these down here, so if I did want to create a new layer I could click on that and draw something in, but that's not what I really need to do. Okay, and we can leave those set up with the different cut settings like I do on my laptop, but often, and especially if you're going to be using the school laptop, they won't be preset to specific materials or thicknesses or anything like that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change our engraved part, the bit that we want to have engraved, to the layer that I have set up for carving, which for this one is layer 10. Okay, and you'll see that those two layers have disappeared and been replaced by this one purple layer, which is my layer 10. And I have those settings already set to the right options. Okay, now if I actually want to change the whole layer to something else, okay, I can click on that. You can see it's selected all of those items that are just in that layer, and I can then click on a different color layer down the bottom here, and that will change it to that layer and to the settings that are for that particular layer. So on my laptop, a 3mm MDF is actually my yellow layer, but you'll use the black one on the school laptop. Now again, if you're going to go into and use a school laptop, you are going to have to change these settings to the correct ones. Now the correct settings are given to you in your booklet. There's a little chart there which tells you what settings to put them on and what numbers to change them to. So to change that, you're going to double click on the layer that you want to have changed, and you can see here it gives you the option of cutting or carving, cut speed, okay, and the first corner powers are the ones that you're going to be playing with. Okay, for the carve ones you'll have the carve speed, corner power and work power, and possibly the carve direction. Okay, so you'll change those if you need to by clicking in here and typing in. I actually don't want to change those. I'm happy with that the way it is, so I'll then go OK. Okay, So what I want to do now is I want to use this fill option button up here just to show what bits are going to be engraved. So you can see now that even though I've got the lines inside the other lines, it's smart enough to know, okay, well if that bit's inside that bit there, then that bit doesn't get engraved and the other bit does. Okay, so it's only going to engrave the bits that's now coloured in purple, which is what I want to have happen. So that's all good. I don't need to leave that like that. I can just go and click that back like that if I wish. Alright, now if you had another person who wanted to laser cut at the same time, if you were to import a new one in, it tends to import in the same place. So I'm going to select everything using my selection tool, move my cursor over to close to one of the lines, and then move, oops, not in the right spot, close the line but not off of it, and move it down. Okay, and you'll see that then if I were to import a second one in, it will bring it back into the same spot I had it in before. Okay, so that's just so that they don't end up on top of each other and you don't have to try to separate them without moving things, etc. Okay, once you have got it all set up and ready to go, you're going to do a work preview. Okay, now this is going to show you, now if you really want to, you can actually do this as well, and it will show you it all cutting. Okay, and all the stages are going to do. But the main thing here that's really important is this work budget down here. This will give us the time it's going to take for it to cut. So this one here says and engrave. It's going to take 1 minute and 27 seconds. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's a fairly good indicator how long it's going to take. And that's useful for you to know, do I need to block out the next couple of hours in the laser cutter for doing this? Or is it going to be something I can quickly get done before the end of the lesson? Those kinds of things. Okay. The other thing you can do on this one here is to use your selection tool, select all of your pieces on the screen, and then define the size material that you're going to need to have at a minimum for cutting this out. You can use this here and add about 10 millimeters to each one. Okay, so I'd be looking for a piece of MDF that's at least 190 wide by 90 millimeters tall. Okay, and once I've found that, I've then got that to go into the machine. Okay, so at this stage, you know what size material you need, you know how long it's going to take, you've got all of your cut settings properly organized and set up, and you've got this in the right spot. Okay, go and get your teacher to check it. Alrighty, you want to have your teacher checking this so that they go, yes, you've done everything right, you've got this all set up, you're ready to go on to the next bit. Okay, at this point, you'll then plug the USB cable that joins the laser cutter into your laptop, and once that happens, if the laser cutter is turned on, then up here you should see a little bit that comes in and says COM3, okay, or COM some number. That way you know that they are going to talk to each other properly. Alrighty. Now there's the other tutorial for actually setting up your laser cutter and using your laser cutter, so I'm not going to go through any of that stuff in that one there. You can watch that one. But what happens if, at this point here, it's the end of the lesson and you want to save your work so you can open it up next lesson and go again. Up in the file menu you have the option of using save. Save as will save it as a file that the laser cutter can read, which I don't really want to do that. So just go to save, and we're looking for the WCVR file format. Give it a file name and go save, and then next time you will be able to find it in here. Okay, there should be one. Oh, this is in the wrong spot. Make sure you save it in the right spot. Okay, I did save one earlier, but it was probably in a different location. Okay, so that's how you will save it if you want to keep it. Now, one thing to note when you do save things and then open them again several days later, if the cut settings have been changed on a previous user's use of the software, then the cut settings will stay the same way that they had been changed by that person. Even though you've saved it, they won't change back to what you saved them as. Now the reason for this is you may incrementally change this as the lenses get dirty and other things like that to adjust and account for those things. Or your material thickness may be just the smidgiest bit different and therefore need quite a lot slightly slower speed or whatever else. So it kind of remembers those settings independently of your saved file, so that it can account for those things. You don't have to change them every time and remember them every time. But it does just mean that if you do save it and then open it again to work on it in another lesson, you will need to double check that your settings over here, your parameters for your cut, are still what you need them to be. Alrighty, so that should hopefully get you through this setup stage. Obviously, if you get stuck, come and see your teacher to get some help with it. But hopefully that will get you through everything. Alrighty guys, thank you very much. Bye bye.